basically you can just go back to the site and you go back to SharePoint, right? And if you want to reload the app, of course, the record's there. It's in the data list that we created for this solution. To control the names and all that stuff, you basically take a look at the app manifest here. So the app manifest will basically give you all the information right here to how to control this, right? It gives you the name of the app, the version controls, so icons, and also some of the permissions that you will need if you need special permissions for some purpose. Okay, so that's available there for you guys to be able to use. This is the advanced way of doing the SharePoint solution. To repeat, the ideal approach for most people will be the low-code approach, which is really mostly doing what we did building this list. But of course, there's a trade-off, because then there is really no management of the code. There is no management on how you do continuous integration and deployment. But it really depends on your scenario, right? On what you're trying to do. Okay. There is a couple of questions here. Let me take a look at this. Do you have access to the Q&A, Dave? You're mute, I think.
I am mute. That's why you can't hear me.
I'm saying, do you have access to the Q&A?
I do, yes. So, oh, I see, the runbook for the Graph API stuff too. What I was doing was going through the graph, the graph documentation and quick starts and tutorials mostly. There's a lot of documentation there. It's amazing. In fact, all the Microsoft documentation is pretty amazing. So you can click through and you can build API or SDK graph applications, and they give you examples in Angular and .NET and Windows and Xamarin, and so no, I don't have a run book for that though. Do you know of a run book for that?
No, I don't. But can you post the links that you were using for that? Maybe that can help them.
Yeah,
if you can make an announcement. You can make an announcement and just post that link on the Q&A.
Yep, I will put up some links. Stand by.
Okay, thanks. All right, guys. Let me know if you guys are doing well. We are we're about 5 minutes away from starting the next area of our bootcamp. As I said before, do not worry if you don't have the access to the Office 365 platform. It'll be great if you do have it, because you have more fun, right? You'll be able to interact a lot better with the platform. But if you don't, please just follow through. Read the documentation that we're posting, the run book. I'll add the icons here the links for the run book on the Q&A, so you have access to it. Okay. Okay. All right, and also, so that is access to that, and access to for the project for the Visual Studio project. Another thing to tell you guys is that you want to go to that project also, because there is an icons folder. And I'll show you guys. And what's going to happen is we're going to need some of those resources to be able to basically build the PowerApps solution. Okay, so if you see this icon folder here, and I'm sharing this with you right now, let me see if it's catching up. It's a little delay right now, looks like, but you will see that there is an icons folder. What you want to be able to do is sort of download that. You don't have to, but to get the final product that we're trying to build, we're going to do a customization where we actually use those icons to be able to, those images to be able to enhance the Power App application, right? So, and there will be steps on the runbook to show you how to upload that, and I'll show you also how to upload that. Okay. So last minute, anybody has any questions on what we did for SharePoint? We are actually going to move forward with the next step. If everybody's okay with that.
Yeah, I put up a couple links. Hopefully that'll be helpful for people that want to dive into graph.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So basically, we are moving forward with Power Platform. Right. So we want to keep this on target. So definitely, guys, this is really this is an event that we would like to do more often, and it can be a specific subjects like Graph API or anything that's more advanced. So we will try to. It will be important at the end of this session for you guys to send us feedback. It will be great to be able to understand where you guys want to be, what you guys want to learn more, and that will enable us to build other sessions for this. Okay. All right, guys. So following our schedule, we are moving into the Power Platform. So hopefully all of you guys were able to get your data list ready. So because that's going to be needed for the next steps, right? For the next sessions as well. All right. So of course, we're working on Microsoft 365 platform, and one of the most powerful areas of these platforms is Power Platform. SharePoint's been around for some time, but Power Platform has been coming up in the last few years, and it's actually bringing a lot of cool features and a lot of things that we can actually do. And it has become very popular because of the fact that it's a low-code way of building applications quickly. For all of you that have background in software engineering for a long time, you understand that it can sometimes be a very slow process to build a solution if we actually build it from scratch, right? We have to build the security, we have to build the frameworks and things of that nature. So low code, quick solutions is what Power Platform offers to us, right? Enables us to build integrations with data connectors, right? And data connectors could be anything, could be databases, services, other type of products, right? And it provides to us integration with Azure apps and security. So as I talked about before, we don't have to worry about doing the worries about the security integration, right? We use the Azure AD to be able to add users, just like any network admin will do, right? So all that's actually built in the cloud services. We also, so what are the key areas or key services here? So the key services really are the PowerApps. PowerApps is really one of the areas that is gaining a lot of momentum because people are building powerful solutions, powerful apps that can run not only on web but also run on Android and iOS devices. So people are actually building these solutions and they're mobile, right? A lot of people are not at the office; they're on the field working. So they actually use PowerApps to do their work, and that's key, right? That's very important. And also it's not just enough to build applications. We need to build processes. We need to automate these processes. So there is this service called Power Automate, which is actually an external service that is used to enable these applications to tap into other connectors and be able to move data, transform data, or notify people, right? And enable people to collaborate. And then there is the mighty data visualization services that we kind of need, and I call it mighty because it's a very key component of any product or any service, right? We need to be able to understand what the data looks like, what it tells us, right? It's not enough to just create apps, but we need to understand the data, and visualizing the data provides that message very strongly. So Power BI does that for us, right? It enables us to unify data from different sources. And what that really means is, like, if you have background on data engineering, you will understand that when you're building something like a data warehouse, data lakes, or anything like that, you need to actually do a lot of work to tap into these sources and create data entities and create workflows to bring this data. So with Power BI, what it does, it enables us to connect to multiple services and actually load some of this data and transform the data, not in the sense of creating a data warehouse, but actually in the sense of creating some kind of data visualization, right? So you can actually on the fly visualize the data and save yourself from creating all these data engineering steps, which are needed. I don't want to confuse anybody. Those are very important. But what it does, it actually enables data analysts, right, to be able to tap into the sources and be able to extract the data they really want and be able to visualize the data the way the business needs it. So that's very powerful. It also enables us to basically integrate with other services, right? And we have Power Virtual Agents, right? So the virtual agents are really also, sorry guys, virtual agents really, if you guys are familiar with it, having virtual agents is really a way. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with this, but this is something like the chatbots, right? The chatbots is something that we kind of need to automate some kind of support levels and help and automate some kind of interview process and in kind of communication process. So you can actually, if you think about it, most of the times when you interview someone, the interview is the same way, right? That the questions are the same, the responses are very similar. So chatbots can enable you to do that. And on top of that, not only enable you to do that kind of stuff, but also do actions with it, right? So basically kind of response and automate something with that information. Okay. So let's go ahead and just so let's take a look at now that we know about platform, Power Platform. Let's see how we can leverage that. So if you remember, we built already a data list, right? So we have this data list here, and so this data list, we want to be able to kind of do stuff that enables us to integrate with some of these other services. If you take a look at the top here, you will see that there is a PowerApps and Automate link, right? And this is the one thing that is being done lately now in the new releases of this. Before, we have to go and jump into all these different services, right? They all have their own little portal where we can actually look at these services to be able to do this, right? To be able to create this flows or create Power Apps and things of this nature. But now the data list integration is so tightly coupled with the services that you can offer this. You can actually go and create applications, or you can create automations, right? So in our case, we want to take a look at a couple of things. Let's review this really quick. So if you notice, when we actually did here and review this record, we edit this record, I'm sorry, we have a form here, all right? And this form, we want to be able to customize it. How do we do that? Like, for example, I don't want to put attachments here. How do I manage that, right? So for that, then we have the power of PowerApps. We can actually click here and say customize form. What this will do actually will take us into PowerApps portal and would actually integrate with that data list. So it will know that site URL, it will know the list name, it will extract the metadata that we build as I show you, and it will actually show you the form. Okay. So some of the Q&A, guys. Yeah. So as we take the time to do the solution, I'll be able to have more time, me and Dave, to answer you guys. So bear with us, okay? So right now, what we're doing is we're building up the PowerApps SharePoint form customization. So if you notice right here, what's happening here, we have the form, and in the form here we have the title, the task days, and things of that nature. So if you kind of play around with it, you will see the properties, right? So it says the data source is the product log. I'm hoping that you can see this a little bit more. Let me see. Okay, you have the product log, right? And in the product log, then you can actually, this is really what we saw, right? We actually opened this up from the product log, so it automatically knows, and it automatically did the SharePoint integration endpoint for us. Right? So it did all that for us. So that is so quick, right? So now, but we want to be able to customize this. How do we do that? So if you take a look at these areas here, and you take a look at each one of these elements, the data cards, the date, and the area, those are the input fields, and you can actually go take a look at the right side and see some of the properties to manage that, right? So you can see the advanced properties as well, where we can actually do some changes. The idea behind PowerApps here, and this is for the web forms for SharePoint only, that's the scope of it, right? Is that you can actually add some of this, modify some of these properties based on expressions. So you can create some custom expressions based on what you want, right? And we'll see that more in detail when we're building the PowerApps. But for SharePoint here, what we really want to do is simplify this, right? Because we'll get very more in detail when we go into the mobile solution. But just want to make sure that you guys play around with this area and become familiar that if you want to access the properties of an input field, you can either do it from the right-hand side, or you can do it from the left top. So if you look at the top left, you will see a drop down there. Those are the properties and events associated to that control. In our case, what we want to do is, we don't like this attachment. We just don't want it, right? So what we could do is, we could perhaps just either delete it or remove it altogether. So it really depends on the scenario and what you're trying to do. For our case, we're just going to delete it, right? So we're just going to make it not visible. So we flip that and we make it off, right? We're going to switch it to off. So now it is gone, right? But here will be the way for you to actually customize some of the behavior, whether it's perhaps the layout, you want to make it look better, or perhaps you want to add some customization on your validation. It really depends on how you want to do it, because ideally a lot of the business rules and validation should be associated to the data model, which I show you in SharePoint how you can do that. So if you do it there, it'll be great, because as you build a PowerApps application, or you build a mobile app application, right, you will have that validation built in already automatically. So it will actually follow that constraint, and it will able to implement it. So you want to do it in one place as opposed to doing customizations in every other application. But it really depends on the scenario and what you're trying to achieve. So often on this environment, you want to save so you don't lose it. Remember, you were using a browser, so it's easy to lose what we're doing. So we want to be able to save it, and we want to be able to publish this, right? So when we go back, we're gonna say publish to SharePoint. By saving it, we haven't really replaced the behavior of SharePoint. We need to actually publish it. Once we publish it, then there will be some changes on SharePoint that will enable this to use that new form. So we're gonna go back to SharePoint now. So we're done with this customization, just a simple customization. And we're gonna go back to our list, right? Make sure, as again, this is a website. Make sure that we reload this to make sure the behavior is loaded. And this is what we do in the mobile app. You will have to do that even more because it's just the nature of it, right? So it's a low code approach, but it's on the browser. So you have to be mindful of that. And I'll touch more in detail about that. But let's go ahead and take a look at our new form. Let's go and edit this. So if you notice, it's still using the attachment, right? So let's go ahead and reload it and make sure that our published form has made it. And if we edit this again, then it looks that it's taking a little longer. As you notice, it actually now, the metadata change made it to the backend, and now we knew, hey, I now got to tap into this PowerApp form, and let me go ahead and go get it. And if you notice, there was a little delay, right? And then you notice the crawling ends at the top, the dots running, and now this is the PowerApps form, as you can see. So this is really where you want to. So this is really where you want to be able to kind of validate this, right? So, but how does this work behind the scenes? What just happened? What just happened behind the scenes, if I go to the site settings and I go to list settings, remember the backend, right? And I go back here and then I go into my form settings, I will notice a change. I will notice now that instead of using a default SharePoint form, it's actually using a customized form from PowerApps, right? So this actually is something that is important to know because you can reverse that. If you, for some reason, you felt like, oh no, I made a mistake, you can just go back to that form. Everything will be fine. So just be mindful of that. Okay. So we are back to our form. We actually integrated SharePoint with PowerApps. That is easy, of course, a simple approach. There is a lot more stuff you can do, and we'll get into a lot more stuff when we do the mobile app because there will be a lot more integrations that we'll do there. But here, what's important to know is that you can customize the form, and you can completely not even use this list. You could use a whole complete layout if you want, but that would be more of a full-blown PowerApps application that we need to do. So instead of customizing form, we have to do a create app. Okay, but that is part of the next session when we start building the mobile app. But what we want to be able to do here also is when something happens like this, we want to be able to integrate with our team and communicate with our team that stuff are happening, right? So we want to, for the purpose of this scenario, we want to be able to communicate to everybody within our bootcamp team that new tasks have been created. So how do we do that, right? If you're familiar with Microsoft Teams, this is Microsoft Teams, right? And this is probably where you're using to do the bootcamp, the session, the live session, right? So here, we have a channel, right? We have a bootcamp and we have announcement channel. We want to be able to announce to everybody that something is going on, that we have new tasks. So we want to post messages here from this integration. So how do we do that? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at Power Automate, and we're gonna go ahead and say, okay, let's create a flow. So if you notice, again, same as PowerApps, there is a whole Power Automate portal which you can access from here, right? All the apps, all the services are accessible from here. And this will take you to the portal. So from there, you can do from scratch a new flow and integrate it with different services. But this is such a tight integration that we can actually go and say from here, create a flow, right? And it's going to go ahead and start asking us, what kind of flow do you want, right? And Flow has tons of templates that we can use, right? And you can actually see that by going into the Power Automate, going to a new tab, right? And you can actually see all the different templates that are available to actually look at this, right? So, and all the connectors, like we can use Twitter, LinkedIn, GitHub, all these other connectors that we have, Chipmunk for emails. I mean, Mailchimp. I'm sorry, Mailchimp for emails. So we have all these connectors that are available for us. But we also have the integration easily from here. So we're going to try to do that. So you can actually, for example, we're going to do, if we look at the templates here, right? And I'll show you, this is the long way, right? This is how Power Automate will work. You can actually do the, you can find flows, you can find anything from here, right? So you can say like SharePoint, for example, and you will see all the SharePoint flows templates that are available, already wired to do particular flow. So basically what it will do for you, you will actually create all the connections between the sources, right? It will say, okay, connect to SharePoint, connect to Outlook, connect to this, connect to that, depending on what you want to do. So this is the long way. The short way is to go ahead and from here do automate, Power Automate, create flow. Let's create a flow that whenever a new SharePoint task is created, we can send a message to Teams. That's what we want. Okay. So we want to look for something that says when a new item is created. Okay, so let's look at this one. When a new item is added in SharePoint, complete custom task. So let's go ahead and click on that. Excuse me. This will be a custom action because there is no, right now, there's really no template already integrated with Teams that would enable you to actually easily just say SharePoint and send a message to Teams, right? And you will see what I mean by that. So we can create a custom action and then build our customized step. So we're gonna say continue here, right? And this, what it did, it actually created a permission to be able to get the site permission and the list name permission for us to be able to get the data, right? So you have the data here, you have the list here, right? And we can see, remember, this is important. That's the site that we're working on. And this is the list that we're working on, right? And then you can show advanced option, and it has, this is the rule that we talked about. It can actually load the all items view. And if you remember, we talked about views a little bit when we were saying that we probably don't want to carry all these fields because it's the overhead of all these fields when we only want just the one fields that we need, right? So this is actually for optimizations of the process. You can do that and you get less data coming across the wire, okay? So basically now we have that integration, but now what we want to do is post that to Microsoft Teams. So we're going to create a new step. And here is where we actually can choose an action, right? And we can find, let's look Teams, let's look for Teams and filter on that. So here it gives you all the steps that you can do. So imagine you can create members, you can create team meetings, you can automate a lot of this stuff here. And that's where the power of business transformation kicks in, right? Instead of having people click and doing this, you can automate all of this, right? So in our case, what we want to be able to do is just post a message. So if you see, there is a post a message which is in preview. So it's a new release, it's a new integration that has been implemented, but it's in preview. So it's not fully released, but it will soon be released. So the idea here is to pick a channel, right? And we can pick a channel here, a team channel, and it's going to load it. And we want to go into the Bootcamp. And then within the bootcamp, if you remember, I show you in Teams, we want to go into the announcements or whatever other channel you may have. So if you think about it, so a team is a concept that can have multiple channels. It's a group team concept that can have multiple channels, and a channel can be specific to perhaps announcements, perhaps a product, perhaps anything that you would like, right? So, but the idea here is that we're gonna make an announcement on our bootcamp concept, right? And the bootcamp messages will be that we have a new item. So I'm gonna make this smaller so you guys can see here. So now what we wanna do is add dynamic content here. So we can actually create a subject that says new task created. You can actually add some of the data here, like for example, if you had a specific field here that you want to look into, like a title or anything like that, you can do it at the subject level. But we're going to do it more at the message level. So here we can actually say new tasks created, right? And we can customize. So this is more of the sort of a message template that we can actually build here. But the beauty of this really is that we can actually use some of the dynamic content that comes from SharePoint, right? So as we connected this SharePoint step to this step, we actually sending that record here. So we have access to its properties. And so what we want is we want to be able to select the title. We want to select the, let's look at the task date, right? Task date. And we want to look at the area. Area is the other one. So area value, right? Because we want the area is sort of an object. Remember, it's a choice field that has, it's not a text field, it's a choice field. So it is an object. So it has a property, and the property will be value. That's where the actual value, the text value will be, right? So we can actually now just save this, right? And you can rename this to, let's call it product log message, for example. So we know, and we're gonna save it, right? And then we can actually just exit out of here, right? And it gives you a warning that, hey, watch out, you know, because it's a browser, right? So so what's going to happen? It's going to take us to the flow information page where we can actually see the history, the details, errors, anything that's happening that's not working, right? So this is ready to go. Now let's test it, right? So we know that we have the flow, we know we have the channel, right? And we know then that we have our form. So what we want to do is we want to create another one. So let's create another design task. Let's call it perhaps we can kind of see that we want the we want to design the let's say we want to design the emails for our product, right? And we're gonna put it also here on the 6th. So let's make it the 6th. So, and I'm kind of spreading the data around, so you will see this on the visualization once we start working on the visualization. And we want to be able to do this as a design. Okay, and want to save it. Oh, of course, we have this date, and we have to 5 and say okay, and that's okay. We save it. So now this created a new record, and we actually created our flow, right? And our flow is already created here, and it's just gonna, if you refresh it, eventually the flow is gonna kick in, and it's gonna give you history on when it executed. So remember, so this is actually a integrated service. It doesn't, it has to connect to SharePoint, triggers that message, picks it up, connects to Teams, and it sends that message to Team. So, you know, it's as real time as it can be. And there, so it just came in a second ago, and the message is successful. You can take a look at them, and this is in flow, right? So we can. This is behind the scene. This is the diagnostics, right? That you can actually see what happened. And if you had an error, you can actually see what the error was. So you can actually see the history of all the runs, and you can see what's happening, right? And when you click on this, you can actually see the statistics of how long did it take, right? So it took 2 seconds to be able to post to Teams. So if you go to Teams now, what you will see here is, of course, if you refresh it, I believe I picked the announcements, right? So we'll see which one I picked up. Yeah. So I picked the announcement. If you refresh it, then you will see. Now, this is, I'm using the web browser, right? If you were using the applications, the actual Teams app or the Teams mobile app, because this is the beauty of this, when you have the Teams mobile app, you will get push notifications to your phone. So you will get a message on your phone that says, hey, Oscar created a new task, and you will get all the details of that task. And you can even include the email link to that task, which I forgot to do here, but you could do that, right? So as you do this flow here, and if you want to edit that, because we forgot to do the link, which be important for anybody to know what is the link associated to that. So there you can actually go to to find link to this item. And what that will do will actually associate that URL so people can click on it and open it up on Microsoft Teams. Okay, so that will do that. And then as you add another item here, let's call it page. Let's do items page here, and let's do Friday, and let's make this a front end and save it. So then this flow will trigger again, and it will post another message to our Microsoft Teams. Okay. So that's the beauty of business transformation, right? That you can actually easily, as we just show you, we can create a lot of these processes within this platform. And one of the things that maybe some of you are not familiar with, in companies, people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars buying systems that do this, right? They go and acquire systems that do what they call is process improvement systems. And all they really do is that they build this sort of flows. They integrate into some of your backend systems and do this kind of communication. But Power Platform provides that as a package already available to in an easy way. As you can see, the new task came in, and that is the link for that. Of course, I just posted the link, but you can create a URL link. You can make this page really nice, and you can actually give them a little bit more information. Okay, so I think it's good stopping point for a Q&A now. You guys have the information. Go to the runbook and go ahead and do basically that Power Platform implementation. Customize the form. Create a process from Power Automate and take the next 20-30 minutes to be able to do that. Okay. So go ahead, guys, and we're gonna pause a little bit here to try to do some Q&As and post any questions you may have. One of the question is what is the warning icon on the PowerApps form? And this is really to show that there is some error with either a missing control or an expression that has been built incorrectly. So sometimes, and I'll show you guys through the Power when we start building the mobile app, there's a way to diagnose all that and exactly know what it is. But when you see that little dot there, that means there is a warning, there's something going on there. I'm gonna publish that. Yes, so there is a question on SharePoint. Can we use the list alert for these notifications as well? And the answer for that is yes, but the list alert is limited to emails, right? So what it does, it actually does emails. The thing with process with Power Automate is that it can be extended to more than that. So you could send an email, it's fine, but the whole idea behind this and the whole goal for our bootcamp is to do business transformation. And what that implies is let's do the new things in the more in leverage collaboration tools. So we want emails are very specific, but we want the whole team to review basically. That's the culture, right? The culture is, hey, the whole team needs to be aware. QA, designers, developers, managers, everybody needs to be aware. So that's why we create a channel so everybody's aware what's on the plate. But it does definitely really relies, depends on what you want to do, right? What you want to achieve. Emails may be enough, then you can use the SharePoint list for that, definitely. There is a good question here, which is the kind of questions that that starts making you think how we can leverage this platform. The question is, can we set an automated task to a specific column list and be able to kind of do if it has fallen for a specific amount, right? So maybe kind of a amount threshold. Which is very common in inventory systems, right? Where you want to be able to say, hey, we're low on inventory. Let's call it yes, and that can be done. And basically, what we could do, you will trigger on creating a new item, or perhaps updating an item because maybe the inventory can change, depending on the rule, right? But the idea is that you can trigger an action because you will get all that information, right? You will get all the data. And then once you get that data, you can do the business rules of, hey, if my amount is less than 10, then send this information to an email or to a channel or to another, tap into another system to make an inventory request. So the goal there will be to actually get the record itself. All right, so let's see. So one of the things that as you do the work, and I'm actually reading your Q&A, don't forget that what we're showing you is capabilities, simple capabilities that are within the time constraints of the bootcamp, right? There are a lot more areas that we can cover, a lot more other things that are a lot more sophisticated, right? But we don't want to, this is sort of a one-on-one for showing you and introduce you to the platform. So we want to kind of make it very, very simple, make it look easy to understand and not overwhelm the audience, right? So, but there's a lot more things to talk about, other things to cover. Yeah, there's a lot more powerful stuff that can be done. So, but this is the idea is to, like anything, right? You start knowing the steps to get you familiar with it, and then you start thinking more in detail, and you start working this stuff. I'm gonna post another link on the Q&A. If you haven't had the chance, I hope you downloaded the Power BI desktop. That will be our next step, and it will be great if you can just go to Power BI and down. the desktop client, right? It's a free download. The only thing that you will need if you really wanted to register or anything like that will be if you once we push it to the online area. So we'll talk about it more in detail, but I'm trying to find the download link here really quick. I believe it may be already on the event page, but I believe so. So here you can actually go and so you can download the desktop right here from here. So let me go ahead and make that announcement here. Okay, so that's the Power BI desktop. I'm gonna take 5 minutes while you guys do that. All right, guys, so let me review the Q&A and see what's going on. So there's another question that came in, and this is good. These are good questions. A question is, how can you implement auto unique numbering for your app using SharePoint list? So basically what happens is, as I show you here on the list settings, there are many hidden fields within this data list, right? And if you look at the list settings, you will actually see them. So there is already unique fields that will give you that. So, and there's actually even two unique fields. There is a numeric field and there is a GUID, right? So here is not visible because what happens is SharePoint tries to hide internal fields to the end user because they're meant to be controlled by the system, right? But if you actually look at the views and you click on all items view, you will see all the fields that are available, right? So you would actually see the ID field here, right? And that basically is a unique ID for this. Okay, so the follow-up question here would be, how do you do perhaps a smart unique field, right? So there's a concept of a smart unique field. So, and what that is really, sometimes you just don't want a digit like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you don't want a GUID, you know, the 32 character GUID that's unique. But you want some smart numbering. So for example, serial numbers will do that, right? We'll prefix it with something and then we'll give it a unique value. So what you could do with that really is, there is, if you're familiar with databases like SQL Server, Oracle, you can actually create calculated fields as well. And a calculated field basically will enable you to do some logic, right? So you can actually create some customization of the IDs, and you can actually get some, perhaps in the case of the question will be that you create a prefix. For example, I could prefix it with area. So I could say area value and add the ID number, and that will give you the calculated field will do that for you, right? So calculated fields will give you, if you take a look and you go back to the data list settings, and when you actually create a column, right, just look for calculated fields, right? So it will be something called calculated field here. And then that will give you the opportunity to create an expression, right? And the expression, really, the formula will be what you want, right? So you can do area and you can do ID and things of that nature. So that will solve that customization, smart numbering fields, basically. Now, that is just using calculated fields just using SharePoint. If it is very sophisticated that you want to tap into some other system to get a serial number because there's some special sequence, you can definitely use a Power Automate, and you can actually send it to another field. So you send that record you query another field, another system, and you get that serial number, for example. And then what you do is you create another step that updates that SharePoint record with that new unique field. So that's another way. So it really depends on your scenario and where this calculated or this unique ID can come from. Okay.